Everyone, welcome back to At the Buzzer. I'm joined by Jack Toonan. Jack, how you doing?
Doing good, Brian. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I'm good as always. So, not talking about the Celtics tonight. Today, we will be talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder. You had some hot takes you wanted to talk about in their game against Minnesota. Tell me what you're thinking.
I don't know, man. I don't know if they're hot takes after last night at the time of recording. So it was on Monday night. OKC Thunder played the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were up by, I think it was like 20 something, with like 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And they lost the game. And they didn't pull their starters. They had their starters out there. Minnesota actually had pulled their starters and had mostly a second, third unit out there, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, like that kind of group. And they pulled it out, and they won in overtime. And Shea, I guess, wasn't getting his whistle anymore. So, yeah, that's a hot take, I guess. But I guess the question is, can the OKC Thunder perform when it matters in the playoffs? And if they run into Minnesota?
Yeah, so Minnesota, obviously, Western Conference Finals last year, right?
Yeah,
You know, pretty good team. They had a lot of shakeup this offseason,
for
like,
sure.
don't get me wrong. But I guess how much of like a dent did this put in the reputation of the Thunder for you?
For me, I think it was pretty big given the circumstances. I mean, I hate to say it, but we've seen the Celtics as a Celtics homer, right? Like we've seen the Celtics go and do similar things, lose by 20 something or be up by 20 something and then lose in the fourth, and they won a championship. I think you look at the OKC Thunder, and while not exactly the same blueprint as the Celtics, like the concept is very similar just a few years back, right? You got one guy who you've developed into an MVP caliber player and a really, really, really good supporting cast that you've developed either through same thing through the draft or through free agency signings. And now you kind of have to get them over the hump, which is obviously into the playoffs and be able to perform in the playoffs. So I think they had an early exit last year. Again, they're a young group, so not surprising necessarily. But now it's sort of, okay, if Shea is supposed to be this MVP, like he's going to win MVP or he's going to be second place for MVP, like is he going to be able to do it when it matters most? And if there's not a whistle in his favor, I think I saw a stat comparison the other night that was Shea took 17 free throws and Nikola Jokic took 0, and Nikola put up more points. So, like, if we're looking at that, how do you realistically say, like, yeah, this is a championship team? That brand of basketball is tough to watch.
I mean, listen, we've complained ad nauseum about that brand of basketball,
We have
specifically with Joel Embiid and, how he plays to the whistle or for the whistle, I guess would be a better way to put it. So, yeah, probably the worst type of basketball to watch as a viewer. People want to like complain about the 3 point, explosion ruining basketball. I think the like foul baiting more than anything has made like certain games just completely unwatchable.
completely. I think you can look at this not Minnesota, sorry. I think Minnesota's the opposite of that, actually. I think that's a bully ball team, whereas you have the OKC Thunder, who really aren't they're a good team offensively and defensively, but you add in the bad brand that is driving to the hoop and then just like falling over basically and like getting like marginal contact that I guess you could say technically is a foul, right? But it's not fun to watch. It's a slow game. It's the pace of play is broken up significantly just by like watching Shea go to the line for his 17th free throw attempt. And then like you have to sit there and pretend to be excited about it. And to me, that's not exciting. If the final score is all that matters, then like what are we playing for? I guess, right? Shouldn't everybody be foul baiting?
Yeah, I'll put it this way, Jack, and maybe you can let me know if this, comparison rings true to you. It's as if the Philadelphia Eagles ran the tush push for 4 yards every single play.
Yeah, yeah. Or
That'd be
like
horrible.
once in a
Yeah,
while they'll throw a slant, right? And then
right.
they go back to the tush push, and you're like, okay, well, like this is like we can't technically stop it. Yeah, yeah. That's
Mhm.
that's a great comparison.
Yeah, can't stop it. Not illegal. Not against the rules. Frustrating to watch.
You'd like to think that the NBA is taking effort towards flop and like foul baiting like that, but I think the flop is like it's progress, right? We have the flop fine, which we saw Josh Hart get the other night actually against the Celtics. He was fined 2K for it. The issue with that is that is the fourth fine this year, only the fourth fine, and I think I could count the number of flops that I've seen, even by some of our Celtics, frankly, that have been done since it was introduced earlier this year. So just for reference, I looked this up earlier because I needed to talk about it because I'm angry, man. I hate this style of basketball. Joel Embiid, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, take notice, right? Like this is I can't stand this. The amount of times the NBA has given out the flopping fine is 4 total so far. 3 of which came within the first month of the season, and then the 4th was Josh Hart the other night, and that's it. And it's $2,000 per flop. So like, I mean, to these guys, no offense, that's kind of minimal.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. Do you think like the beginning of the season when they were doing it more was just like, okay, don't do it because we will call it or we will find you? Do you think it helped at all, or do you think it's like because they only did it 3 times before, this month it just was whatever?
I think that was their intent, right? Was to do it, be like, hey, like we're watching you, like don't do stupid things. But then you also like, I like how they did it with Hart, where it was egregious in the moment, and then it was like a fine after the fact. But I need to look into this more. I don't think they can call it like in game, right? Like they can call a flop in game and be like, that's foul baiting. Sorry, like you get a free throw. It's a technical free throw, I think. But it still is like, I don't know, man. It's not fun to watch at the end of the day, I think is what I can say. But I think, yeah, like you said, they did it to say, like, to prove a point, like, hey, we're serious about this. But then they proved they weren't serious about it. So it went back to normal. Probably.
So, like, now what?
Yeah, now what? It's like, is this like okay, it worked. We got 3 dudes on it, and also Josh Hart, and like we're gonna double down next year, or like I don't know. You even look at Team USA basketball. Not to go on a tangent, but you see dudes in the first practice like go and like draw marginal contact and then try to put a shot up and fall down because they're like, oh, well, in the NBA that's how it's called. It's not how it's called in EuroLeague. It's not how it's called in other leagues around the world. So you look at that and you're like, well, that's a different brand of basketball. And if that's what the NBA wants to hang its hat on, that's pretty gross.
Yeah. I thought, very interesting conversation out of just, an Oklahoma City, topic. But anything else you wanted to add before we get on out of here?
I think we got to talk real quick about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's missed 3 at the end of the game also. So that's more what damaged the reputation for me almost than losing by or dropping a 20-point lead in the 4th quarter with 5 minutes to go. So just a really bad shot, couldn't get open. I tried to get fouled on it, surprise, and did not get fouled on it. So just bad look overall.
Not what you want at the end of the game, needless to say.
For sure.
All right. Well, Jack, where can they find you online?
Best place to find me is on Twitter, and that's at Jack_Tiernan. Follow me there for now the MLB's back. Follow me there for MLB takes. Follow me there for NBA takes as we wind the season down a little bit. You could also watch me on some of our other shows here at Weekly Good Sports. You've got me on the Bayou Breakdown, joining in some of the baseball shows as well, and then obviously here at the Buzzer.
Yeah, Around the Diamond. By the time this airs, the last 3 Around the Diamonds will have aired, and Jack, you were part of all 3 of them. So
love it.
Yeah, as big a part of it as anyone else at this point. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you all in the next segment.